Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. C&T Talking Tigers featuring the man Kennard Vernon Stewart. How you doing, Kennard?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Man, doing well, doing well. I won't complain, man. Want to thank everybody for joining us again on another week of C&T Talking Tigers. Want to give a shout out to Sports Sheet Media for keeping us a part of their platform and giving us an opportunity to broadcast and showcase our talents on their platform. And we welcome back after a bye week. The best news about that is we didn't lose. So coming in, the Georgia might be coming off a week they wasn't expecting another loss to Alabama. Seemed like they the big bad bully on the block against everybody except them boys in Tuscaloosa. They can beat everybody except them. It's the funniest thing, and the game seems to be the same every time. Bama jumps out to a big lead. Georgia comes storming back, but they still found a way to lose at the end. It never fails. It's ridiculous. But Deep South's oldest rivalry, man. Georgia and Auburn. I think I was a youngster before I was a little maybe a teenager before I realized that we really didn't supposed to like Georgia like that. Growing up, it was always Alabama, Alabama. But as I got older, I realized the importance of the Auburn Georgia game. And I might not hate Georgia like I hate Alabama because don't hate nobody like I hate Alabama. But I don't really care. I don't really care for Georgia. They don't really bother me unless we playing them. I don't really care for them either. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interconnectivity with the Auburn and Georgia rivalry. You think about one of the best coaches in Auburn history, Pat Dye. He actually went to Auburn. I mean, he went to
With
Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah, it was Georgia
Went to
Bulldog.
Georgia, and he, you know, did some great things at Auburn. And then you think about Vince Dooley, who was an Auburn guy that went to Georgia.
Went to Georgia. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there, and then you look at the fan base. You look at the students. There are a lot of students that are from Georgia. There's so much interconnectivity, and I actually work in Athens, believe it or not. And the campus is it's so much similarity between Auburn and Georgia. It's like the same school basically. So you have a lot of interconnectivity between these two schools, and that's why these two teams are rivals. And they've had so many memorable games. You think about the game in 2013, the prayer during hair. You think about you think about Cam Newton's and all of those different rival games that have made this rivalry quietly one of the better rivalries in SEC. And that's probably why this is still a game that Auburn and Georgia will continue down the stretch based on, the yearly rivals that I mean, you got to have Auburn and Georgia every year. Now, I like Auburn and Georgia, later on in the season, but
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I miss having Georgia in November.
Yeah, man. That Georgia. You usually have Georgia, have a little cupcake, then you have Alabama.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's a great rivalry, but I think as we get into this podcast, there's some things that needs to change with the rivalry of recent.
Yeah. Like I said, start the game off. To start the podcast off. Talked about it's the Deep South oldest rivalry. Started playing in 1892. We won the first game, 10-0. But they won the last game, 31-13 last year in Athens. The longest winning streak by either team is 9. Georgia had a 9-game winning streak on us back in the early 10s, 20s, and 30s. But now they're on a current 8-game winning streak, so they can tie the 9 with a win on us Saturday at home, which we hope not to happen. You look at both teams going into Saturday. Georgia's 4-1. We're 3-2. Georgia averages just about 35 points a game and only giving up about 18. They, as opposed to us, we average about 28 points a game right there. I mean, we only give up 16. So our defense is comparable to them, if not better than theirs. I think it might be a little better. But they're producing a little more offensively than we are. As evidence about their yards per game, they average about 438. That's about 232 in the air and 207 on the ground, which is very impressive. To average over 200 yards a game rushing. Where Auburn, we average about 342, 173 in the air, and a respectable 169 yards rushing on the ground. We probably would be better served if our passing numbers were a little higher. Both quarterbacks come in taking care of the ball, but in different ways. Gunnar Stockton has over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, only turned it over once. If I'm not mistaken, he's probably added another 200 or so on the ground with another 5 touchdowns. He averages about 69% passing. Whereas Jackson, on the other hand, he's 846 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. We can say that. 65% of his passes, he averages about 169, 70 yards in the air. With another 5 touchdowns himself on the ground, adding to the the dual threat that he is, as well as Gunnar Stockton. But here's the big difference. We'll touch on this, Kennard. Gunnar Stockton has been sacked 6 times in 5 games. In the same number of games, 5, because we're 3-2, Jackson Arnold has been sacked 20 times. So, yeah, that's going to be an issue. Georgia's leading sack guys, Chris Cole has 3, C.J. Allen has 2, a few other guys with some. Ellis Robinson, the 4th, is their leading picker in the secondary with 2 interceptions. A big stat that I've always noticed and I harp on every week is 3rd down conversions, especially offensively. Georgia is averaging. Georgia converts about 48.5% of their 3rd downs, top 40 in the nation, where we only convert about 34% of our 3rd downs, which is not very good, which is probably why we're 3-2. It helps us being 3-2, especially our last couple of games, especially that last game against A&M, and that helps Georgia along the way.
Well, the main reason why you are not converting a lot as an Auburn Tiger on 3rd downs is because usually the 3rd downs are usually 3rd down and more than 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? You're in a compromised position. Plus, you're playing on the road in the SEC against 2 of the more stout defenses, especially with Oklahoma. And you can't allow yourself to be in 3rd and plus more than about 6 or 7 in these situations. Your percentage is going to go down. And I think that's where Auburn has to, start to, which we will probably get into this video. You got to start to get in situations where you're not 3rd and 9 or plus, because your execution percentage is not going to be as well as it should be against pretty athletic defenses. So that's why Auburn has not been able to be great on 3rd down, because they're always like horrifically behind the sticks. I mean, 3rd down and 22 on the road against Oklahoma, you ain't gonna convert that. You're gonna get a little bit to get maybe a good punt percentage, or maybe against Texas A&M, which they started horrifically against. You're not going to be able to have the success that you need if you're always behind the sticks. 3rd and 4 is where you want to live at, not 3rd and 15.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, that Texas A&M performance was just inexplicable,
It was bad.
inexcusable,
It
man.
was bad.
0
And
for
and, and, the,
0 for 13 is just.
yeah, you can't do that. And then the caveat to that, just like in Oklahoma, you had a chance to win. And that's why I think, as we talk about this game, that's why I think a lot of folks are kind of kind of casually positive about the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Statistically, we're really kind of even with each other, man. Jeremiah Cobb's our leading rusher, about 81 yards a game, 4 touchdowns. They're two. They use more of a two-headed monster with Bowens and Frazier. Bowens averaging about 62 yards a game. Frazier about 51. Bowens got 3 touchdowns. Frazier's got 2 touchdowns. So that's right about what Cobb has four by itself. They combine for two. Eric Singleton and Cam, both about 51, 53 yards a game apiece. They're only about 10 yards separate them two in receiving. Both of them have a pair of touchdowns. Same with Georgia's top two receivers, Kobe Young and Zachariah Branch. They're both about 240, 230 yards, 49, 47 yards a game, 2 touchdowns and a touchdown apiece. Um, we've got a few more sacks than Georgia. We get after the quarterback. They don't give up as many sacks, so that'll be interesting with Kieran Crawford leading the way with 4 sacks. Xavier Atkins has 3. Keldrick has 2. I think Chris Murray's got 1.5. We hadn't turned the ball over in the secondary as far as interception goes because our leading sack guys both have an interception too. So it's going to be interesting, man. Gunnar Stockton does a good job of taking care of the ball, not taking many sacks. Jackson does a good job of taking care of the ball, but he takes a few too many sacks. So that's gonna be a interesting dynamic on Saturday between between the two offenses. Can we keep Jackson upright and can we get to Gunner? Neither one of them turned the ball over very much. An interception between the two, so it's gonna be interesting. Kennard, you still with us? Well, we will hopefully look to get Kennard back. The last 10 years, man, it's been a lot of Georgias. We're 8-2 the last 10 years. Um, hadn't been good for us. In 2015, 2013, the score was close. Georgia won. 2016, it was 13-7, another close game. Georgia got by us. 2017, we smacked them around a little bit, 40-17, but they got us in the SEC championship. We were a little banged up. 2087, 2018, 2017 ball game. 2019, 21-14, 2020, 27-6, 2021, 34-10, 22, 42-10. 2023 was a lot closer, 27-20. We really felt like we should have won that game. I think that was Hugh's first year. Really felt like we should have won that game. Last year, 31-13. It was close for a while, pulled away towards the end. I'm looking forward to a heated battle. It's going to be highly contested, between the two rivals, two schools close, and a lot of connected in a lot of ways. Like Kennard said earlier, we battle for a lot of the same guys because we're so close to the state of Auburn's so close to the state of Georgia, and we trickle over there and fight for some of the same guys that they want. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, man. I like to see how. I'm interested to see how our offensive line holds up against that Georgia defense. Sound like we got Kennard back with us. I'm really interested to see how our defense holds up, our offensive line holds up against that front seven of Georgia, and if we can do enough to get some good running game and to give Jackson Arnold some time, we might can have something here. What do you think, Kennard?
Well, I think one of the things that Auburn has to do is continue to play well on defense. They have to continue to, create some opportunities. And what they haven't been doing well is creating turnovers. I think you got to get a turnover here. You got to get a crucial turnover, similar to the one that was taken back against Texas A&M. I watched that play, not Texas A&M, but Oklahoma. I watched that play. That was a turnover. That should have been a scoop and score, and that game is totally different. Now,
Absolutely.
I I think if Auburn is going to have, and I don't even want to say a chance because this is a very talented Auburn football team. what they have to do is the defense, I think, is going to be okay in this game. But what I think Auburn has to do, what they didn't do against Texas A&M, you got to run the ball. They ran the ball against Oklahoma, and that gave them the opportunities to open some things up, to push some things down the field to where, Cam Coleman had a really good game against Oklahoma. I think if we can erase the Texas A&M game, I think we would change our perception of what we think about Auburn right now, because they played very well on the road with an opportunity to win late. So if you're going to have a chance in this game for Auburn, you got to run the ball. You got to run the ball. I mean, hell, um, you know, you get a situation where you got your running back with a 44-yard run down the field. Then you got Damari Austin able to run the ball against Oklahoma. If you're able to do that, you can loosen up at what I think is kind of a vulnerable Georgia defense that have shown vulnerabilities against, pretty talented teams like Alabama, and they lost that game. They lost to Tennessee, and well, they should have lost to Tennessee, honestly. And you talk about a situation where if you can loosen this defense up, then you have some opportunities to win at what will be a very emotional game at home. Cam Newton is going to retire his jersey in Jordan Hare Saturday night, and we all know that Saturday night under the lights in Jordan Hare, a lot of strange and crazy things can happen. I look forward to what Auburn can possibly do here.
Man, you're right. It's going to be electric. Cam's going to be in the building. Everybody's going to be amped up for him. Everybody's going to be excited for him. Another Georgia boy that ended up in Auburn. We get our fair share of those Georgia boys that come on down and cross those state lines.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I don't mean to cut you off. Well, yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. But here's the thing. Auburn is literally like maybe 30 or 40 minutes away from Georgia. A lot of folks in Auburn actually commute to Georgia to work. It's a lot of like I told you before, it's a lot of interconnectivity between Auburn because of where they're located. Look at the roster. A lot of the roster for Auburn, they're from Georgia. A lot of folks that I went to school with when I was at Auburn, they were from Georgia. So that's why this rivalry continues to be one of the best in college football, because even though they are not in Alabama, my goodness, they're probably closer in proximity to
Absolutely, to Auburn than they are
to Tuscaloosa. And my God, hell, if we can get that Georgia Tech rivalry back, that's even more crazy, proximity wise. I hate that we don't play Georgia Tech every year.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do a lot for our visibility in that area as well. Like you said, a lot of those guys are closer. Like you said, a lot of those guys, depending on where they are in Georgia, they're a lot closer to Auburn than they are Athens.
Man, there's a situation where, like you said, there are a lot of guys that live in Georgia that are just as close to Auburn as they are to the University of Georgia.
And probably a lot of them are Auburn fans. A lot of that Columbus, LaGrange, a lot of that area, and
you talk
right
about Douglasville and Villa Rica and all.
Yeah. Hogansville, all that good stuff, man. A lot of that hop, skip, and the jump to Auburn.
That's how we got Tank Bigsby was closer to Auburn than he was to Georgia.
Trey Black.
All they had to do was kind of, roll down 85, and they're right there at Auburn. It's easier for their family to get to the games at Auburn than it is fighting through traffic to get to Athens.
Trying to get to Athens, absolutely. Well, like you said, man, it's a connected, close rivalry. Always been a good one. Always been an exciting one. There's been a ton of memorable games. I remember the overtime game back in the '90s where the Dawgs tried to bite Robert Baker. I I mean, it's Auburn and Georgia has always been a fantastic game. Um, it, it's always been fun. I remember those Saturday nights on ESPN, listening, watching the game, listening to Mike Patrick. I've been to a couple of Auburn, Georgia games. There's always something, especially in Auburn, especially in Auburn. It's always something. It's always an exciting game. Um, and I look forward to it Saturday, man. If I think our defense matches up really well with what they do offensively. Like I said, I'll put our defense on the field against anybody at any time. So that's something I'm not really worried about. Only thing I'm worried about is if we put them out there too long, the way we did against A&M. And even then, we gave up a lot of yards, but we didn't give up a lot of points. We gave up over 400 yards of offense to A&M. I think they might have been 207 and 207 passing and rushing. Now that's not a good look to give up over 200 yards rushing, but when you look at the time of possession and when you look at the opportunities that they had, you can see. But we had that, but they bit. It was a little bending going on, but we didn't do much breaking.
Here's the thing. A lot of that happened at the beginning of the game, because if you look at the first drive for Auburn against Texas A&M, yeah, they did a little damage to Auburn, to where you started to think, well, it wasn't so much bend but not break. They were actually stopping the guys. The biggest takeaway was that Auburn's offense could not produce what needed to complement their defense. Now I think A&M did a great job of running the football, and they had some, they had a lot of dig routes. They attacked the hash marks against Auburn, and they found a lot of things open. But then as Auburn started to adjust, things got a lot different as to why that game was actually close. Because it probably, when you look at the yardage that Texas A&M had, you wouldn't think that this was as close of a game as it was. But Auburn started to kind of compound that thing and started to really, make some adjustments to where it got difficult for Texas A&M to move and run the football later down the stretch. So I think, as we talk about it, yeah, they bend but didn't break, but they did that at the early portion of the football game.
Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, they still put up 200 yards on the side. I didn't like that.
And they did. I didn't like it. I didn't like it either.
The rushing part, I wasn't too worried about the pad, but that 200 yards on the ground, that was a bit alarming. But like you said, a lot of adjustments were made, and a lot of things that were successful for them in the beginning of the game weren't as successful towards the end. That was why we were able to keep it close.
Yes, sir.
Two losses.
And a crucial turnover. As Texas A&M was driving the football, a crucial turnover on a run pass option really helped Auburn to stay in that game as well.
Yes, yep, absolutely. We've been on the road in two very, 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 very tough places to play, in Norman, Oklahoma, and the 12th man down at Kyle Field, and to come away with those losses, as bad as our offense played, we were a touchdown and an extra point away from winning that game. As bad as we were running the ball and as many sacks as we took against Oklahoma, we were a touchdown away from tying that game. And had a couple of calls went a different way, we could have totally won that game. With that being said, Georgia's defense has shown vulnerability, i.e. the Tennessee game, the Alabama game. So maybe by reputation, we've given their defense, a lot of credit for what they've done historically under Kirby. What they've been then might not be that now. They still a lot of NFL talent on each level, defensive line, linebackers, and in the secondary. KJ Bolden's an absolute superstar back there. Ellis Robinson is a very, very, very good corner. They have linebackers that can run. They got defensive linemen. They got a lot. Our defense is just as good. Kyan Lee is just as good as corner as there is in the nation. Um, our front seven is just as good and just as dominant as any of them out there. Um, Statistically, we might not be up there with Ohio State's, but we're talent wise and what I've seen, the eye test, we have one of the best defenses in the nation. It's definitely a top 5 defense in my submission, from my estimation. So I know they're going to be there to do their part. We can count on them. Uh, the offense has to show improve. We've had a week off to tweak some things, to get some people back in the fold, and to figure out how we're going to move on from what A&M was. We just need to, we need to delete that out of our system, delete that out of our minds, and we need to focus on extending drives and not working so far behind the sticks, as you said. Those 3rd and 8s or more are terrible situations to be in. You want to be in everything 3rd and 5 and below if possible. So if we can keep 3rd downs to a manageable situation, and if we can convert anywhere from 40 to 50% of our 3rd down opportunities or better, we should have a tremendous opportunity at winning this game. If we can run the ball, just maybe not as not a whole bunch of chunks, but just attempts and opportunities. We simply didn't run it enough against A&M.
Well, another reason why you may not have run it enough, and now that I think of it, is Auburn's offensive line was not really good at um, not, engaging in procedural penalties. And when you do those things, especially in crucial portions of the game, it makes play calling a little bit different. You got something going on, and now you got an offside penalty or you got a procedural penalty. And those are the types of things that you can't have against anybody, really. But especially when the stakes are so high against teams like Georgia and teams like Oklahoma. I mean, who would have imagined? I mean, I'm pretty sure, you're like me. You've been an Auburn fan for a long time. You wouldn't have imagined having a Texas A&M, Oklahoma schedule. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have those types of procedural penalties to that alters your play calling altogether when you have those procedural penalties and you get behind the sticks. And yeah, you want to run the ball, but how the hell are you gonna run the ball and you it's 3rd and 16
Well,
because
30
of
16, of course. Hey, if it's 30 16 and we had a procedural penalty right before that, that means it was 3rd and 11. So that's not
yeah,
a that's not ideal situation to run it at
yeah,
all.
it's terrible
But
to begin
but
with.
yeah, that's terrible anyway. But but an example of we should run the ball more. Right there at the end of that A&M game, we lined up. It's 3rd and 1. We got 2
Now
downs to make
that was
1
now,
yard.
now that I almost threw my look, man. I almost threw my damn remote at the TV. Like, quarterback sneak, get the first down, give yourself a chance. Like, what the hell was that?
What was there, and we got a quarterback that's capable of running and falling for a yard. So why we
Yeah,
did not do anything to run, like, we 2 downs and we tried to throw it both times. I was so disappointed in the play
yeah.
calling on in that situation. And that was just, and even before then, man, it was just like we weren't so far out of the game where we had to abandon the run, and like the way we did 2 Saturdays ago down in College Station.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm of the ilk of, man, 2nd and 8, run it again. You get 3 yards, now it's 35. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd rather have 35 than you threw it on 2nd down, it's incomplete, now it's 3rd and 8. So sometimes it's you think too much, and we
Now, do
just
you
run.
think? Now, I'm. This is devil advocacy here, and I saw this last year when they force fed Cam Coleman late in the season. Do you think there's a possibility that there's some rift in the locker room to where Cam Coleman is demanding the ball and it's actually hindering the offense.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I'm not ready to go that far. I think towards the end of the year we start throwing them the ball because we probably need to make him happy to keep him here for a little
That's
longer.
what. Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but because I mean, see, but I'm not sure about that because I haven't. There's no evidence of just throwing to Cam in bad situations. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
two people on him and we throw it anyway. He's running his route. The corner's got inside leverage and we throw it in. He hadn't just been blanketed. He's had opportunities to make plays, and you definitely want to give a guy like him, especially when he's 1-on-1. I mean, anytime Cam's 1-on-1 with anybody, we feel like we have the advantage. So I don't mind trying to take advantage, trying to, capitalize on the advantageous situation. So I'm
But
not
but
ready to
it, but
just say,
what is the point where we start giving Cam Coleman or whoever the ball in the middle of the hash marks? When we start taking advantage of the mismatches with linebackers and nickelbacks, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm looking at in this game against Georgia. You got because other teams have done it. Tennessee did it. Alabama definitely did it. At what point do we stop going with the one-on-one balls and start really attacking the middle of the field and really taking advantage of the talent that we have at wide receiver?
well, that might go back to they might be playing us differently than they're playing them just simply because we might haven't shown the capacity to beat somebody down the field just with our passing game. I mean, we took some shots and we had a good situation with Oklahoma. A lot of balls didn't get caught, a lot of calls didn't get made.
Nah, man,
Um,
I ain't talking about taking those shots. I'm talking about attacking the middle of the football field the same way Vanderbilt did against Alabama at times, the same way that, you know, other teams are doing against Auburn in that interior of the football field, the hash marks where they're attacking those linebackers and instead of going for the home run ball, actually calling a reasonable offensive game plan to where you're attacking the middle of the field and pushing the ball down the field that way. And then after you get that going, then you can attack long long passes if that makes sense.
Once again, that just goes back to is Jackson Arnold capable of making those throws?
And that's
He
what
free?
yeah.
Is
Oh
he
yeah.
free? Comfortable with Jackson putting the ball over the middle? Cross linebackers over linebackers head. It's just are we there? Are we there in that capacity? Is that a part of our offense? Is that how we're designed?
But see the
So I'd
RPO
like to see.
the RPO that you supposed to have is actually supposed to set a lot of that up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how, we doing RPO. We're not running the ball, but then we're doing RPO, but then we're not passing the ball in the interior part of the football field. I just don't get it. I mean, that's just where I'm at with Auburn right now.
Well, man, it's gonna be interesting, man. That might be something that they may have addressed, hopefully,
Man,
during the
I
bye
hope
week
so.
to see how we can open up this offense and to get things on track. The season
Yeah.
is not lost.
Oh
Uh,
no, not at all.
if we could if we could go on a run, um, and run out the rest of this schedule or something like that, we can still be poised and play in a spot to chase a playoff spot just based on who all left we have to play and who we've already played. Um, so that's it. Like I said, that's going to be interesting. We've lost to, I guess, two top 10 teams. So that's nothing to on the road. So that's nothing to really hang your head about. But also, you could have won both of those games also. So that's
Well, it's
something
kind of
to.
similar. It's kind of similar to 2013, to where, of course, you didn't have Oklahoma on the schedule, but you had LSU, where uh, didn't play well in the first half, but you started to kind of piece together, and then people started to think like, damn, this Auburn team is actually kind of halfway all right. Then you go on that run, you get this a signature win, which I am pinning this Georgia game as that signature win that Hugh Freeze has to have down the stretch to salvage the season. I'll wait to hold that till the end of the video.
Oh well, yeah, man. This is it's getting close to barbecue and mildew time for Hugh, man. We're in year 3, which really, man, every coach should get. In a perfect world, man, you should get maybe 4 years, get you a full
Yeah.
recruiting class, get a full cycle of play, but maybe 5 to get that first class, a full 4-5 years with those guys, and then judge him. Then we're judging Hugh his 3rd year in, first year with a real quarterback. Finally got a legit defense with superior NFL talent led by the likes of Keldrick Falk. So don't know how early. I know we're in a microwave society now, and everybody wants everything instant right then, right now. But there's nothing wrong with allowing you to get over those hurdles and get those building blocks. But you gotta see some progression. Need a big win. Don't know what our signature win is so far. I don't know if we even have one. Hadn't beat Georgia, hadn't beat Bama since he's been here. So we need to do one of those, and we need to do them fairly quickly. Would be my surmise. Would be my guess. So we've talked about everything. We talked about the stats and the rivalry. We looked at the history. We talked about the coaches. Now it's time to talk about the game. Saturday night, I think it's a 6:30 kickoff on ABC. Jordan Hare night game, gonna be nice weather. Crowd's gonna be rocking. The light show's gonna be going. The Eagles gonna be flying. Kennard, Georgia's coming in off a loss to Alabama. We're coming in off a bye. Give me your prediction.
I'm gonna tell you what. I really am intrigued by these Auburn Tigers. I think they play very well on defense. They showed me a lot on the road against Oklahoma. I think they laid an egg against Texas A&M. But I think at a certain point, when you look at the law of averages, Auburn has not won against this rival in a lot of years, and they've been cutting it real close at home. I like Auburn. Now, I'm saying that to where I'm probably saying it a little bit more confidently than you believe. I like the fact that Auburn has one of the better defenses in college football. I think they have the bend but don't break tendency, but I also think they have the tendency to be dominant. This is Gunnar Stockton's first, I think, true SEC truly hostile environment at night. I think he had a hostile environment in Tennessee, but I don't think it will be as hostile as it's going to be in Auburn, to where he's going to make a lot of mistakes. I don't think that the Georgia offense I think they're good, but they're going to have some challenges with his defense in Auburn. So I got Auburn in a close one. I got Auburn, oh my goodness, 28-24 at home. And we got to have it. We need it. Got to have it.
Absolutely got to have it, man. In the last, from 2015 to now, there have been some good games. There have been some one-score games, 20-13, 2015, 13-7, 2016. 2017 was a close one. Got pulled away a little later. 2019 was 21-14. 2023, I think Hugh's first year, 27-20. We had him right there at home. We had him on the rocks. Brock Bowers killed us. Oh my God, he put on a virtuoso.
And I was looking at the talent that we had at that time. I mean, hell, if we had, I'll say this: if we had the speed that we had now, a lot of that stuff, in my opinion, might not have happened, because we were like slow rolling trying to catch these guys.
Right.
So,
but but I'm with you guys, man. This would be a wonderful place for Hugh to get his biggest win as an Auburn football coach. It would be a signature victory, and it could possibly propel us into the rest of the season instead of sending us into a 3-game losing streak and having to hear more boo birds and more
Oh
chirping
yeah.
about this, that, and the third. But with everything being said, like you said, an electric environment comes Saturday night. One of the best defenses in the nation. Quarterback who isn't prone to turn it over. A running game that's solid, and a fan base who wants it and needs it, and hopefully the players want it as much as we do. This is the one game since me and Courtney had started this that I don't think I've ever picked us to win. I don't think I've ever picked us to win this game, just simply because they've always been just more talented than we are. They've just simply been more talented than us going into these games. As evident as 21 and 22 when they beat us 34-10 and 42-10. We just didn't have the Willies and Joes to match the X's and O's. Well, we've got Willies and Joes. Hopefully we have the X's and O's to complement the talent that we have. I believe in Auburn coming off this bye week. I've seen Georgia be vulnerable at Tennessee. I've seen Georgia be vulnerable at home and lose to Alabama. Georgia is an immensely talented team with some good coaches. But this isn't the most talented team Georgia's had. This isn't the best team. This isn't the scariest Georgia team that we've seen. But this is the best team that we've had in a long time. So if we can go out, coaches and players on one accord, and we can be who we should be and be who we are and play Auburn football, and we can run the ball, and if we can stop the run and just put the game in Gunner's hand, let our pass rushers get after him, I think we can pull off the upset and put our season back on track. I can see us losing this game as well. But with all that being said, I like Auburn 21. No, I take that back. I like Auburn 24-21. 24-21 Auburn. It's going to come down to maybe an Allen McPherson kick to win the game. And everybody knows I believe in McPherson. He
Oh
hadn't missed
yeah,
a
and
kick.
also too, it ain't no mistake that Vegas has actually changed their tone. It was 6.5 last week. Now it's 3.5. There's something they see. Georgia has a offensive lineman that's out. So there's some things that people are seeing that, and I've been listening to some podcasts. There's some things that people are seeing that parallel what we're saying.
Yeah, man. There's some things we can take. There's some situations we can take advantage of, especially defensively. Our defense on their offense, and if we can just make the plays, man. Just keep chugging along. Stay out of third and long situations. If we can convert on third down and get them off the field on third down, I believe in the
Yeah,
home field
and,
advantage.
and here's what you and I both left out. We just got to play better on special teams as well. We can't make special teams mistakes. You had a situation where uh, why we're fielding a kick on a punt inside the 3-yard line against Texas A&M to put us in bad field. We just can't do things like that. We can't miss field goals because there was a situation where I don't know if you remember this or not, but Auburn could have actually tied the game at 13 if we would have just made the field goal. That's the difference in the game. That's the difference in swing of momentum. So we have to
But
play very well on special
that was
teams.
a longer field because McPherson didn't kick that. What's his name kicked that one,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
guess
old buddy.
I think that was I guess because of the distance was the
Yeah,
reason why we went with him. So I mean, you miss a 50+ yard, I ain't gonna really be mad at you.
but I ain't mad at you. But those are things. Those are those little things, special teams wise, that you have to convert. And I'm not saying that the a 50-yard field goal on the road and It's not probable, but those are things that we have to start to execute to keep ourselves in the inches of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, man, Fisher hadn't missed a kick all year, so I get what you're saying. You got to make the kicks, but I can't remember how far that was, but it was fairly it was a
It was
good
far
distance.
enough. It was far enough for you to miss it on the road, to where you
Yeah,
damn near should
yeah.
have punted.
I think it might have been 50,
Yeah, it was.
54, 55, 56, something like that. Like I said, I can't be too mad at him about that. We usually do a pretty solid job. Now catching that punt, I was always taught from the school of you plant your feet on the 10-yard line, and anything that goes over your head,
Yeah, just let it
that's
go.
what it is. You fair catch
Yeah,
at the 10-yard line. If it goes over your head, that's between the ball and the Lord. So yeah, fielding a punt on the 3, anything past the 10 is asinine to me, and don't know why he would do it. That's just a mental mistake that we can't make, especially on the road. That's already having the woes that we were having on offense. So predictions: Cardinals got us. Kennard's got us winning. What run to my War Eagle guy? Yes, sir. Let's get this signature win this weekend. 28-24 Auburn. Yeah, I think that was your score too, wasn't it, Kennard? 28-24?
yep.
Yeah, I had us 24-21. So, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, Ron. Let's get this win. The guys going to come down to coaching penalties, time of possession, special teams will be very important as well. As always, yes. Penalties and third down conversions are definitely 2 big parts of the game. Us being pretty healthy this week is big. Oh, yes, definitely is big, man. You gotta, hey, Herman Edwards used to always say your best ability is availability. So we should be we got a lot of guys that's gonna be here to play, and we should be in good shape. 28-17. That's a big win, Courtney. That's a big win, my man. You got a lot of faith in us. That's a big win. If we can get 28 points, I'll be happy. I'd be happy against that defense if we can. I don't want to get in the shootout with them, but I like the 17 part. That's about where I got them. 17, somewhere between 17 and 21. My man says, just like they say in the church, you one step away from a miracle. Auburn is win away from the team and the program going into the great direction. That's right, man. We're always one step away from a miracle. We're one win away from getting this thing on track and going in the right direction. I wholeheartedly agree. Can't wait for you to come back with us, my boy. But Kennard's been holding us down, ladies and gentlemen. We come to the end of the show. We've got some predictions. Courtney's got us winning. Ron Eagles got us winning. Kennard's got us winning. I've got us winning. Hopefully, we come out and win. Hopefully, you got us winning too. So we appreciate everybody for coming out. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. As we always say, thank you for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you was here with us, and we appreciate it. So thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Good night. We appreciate Kennard for coming with us as always. And we end every show with a good Whoa Eagle. Hey. And we go.